How are we doing? Everyone need to stand up for a minute, shake it out. Everyone good? Energy good? All right, so pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Vans, for hosting us. I want to kind of take a step back and reflect on some of the key terms that were stated today. So if we talk about negligence, if we talk about connectivity, if we talk about then purpose, setting actual principles, and then let's not forget ensuring that we avoid letting us make progress versus letting us strive for perfection. So I want us all to write all of those down right now if you're a newbie, because this is essentially a playbook in terms of how you get started. We need to take a step back and realize what issues are at hand, how they're all interconnected. We need to then define a purpose and make a choice to define that purpose. We need to set those principles in which we stand by, and then we actually need to make progress in collaboration with everyone. So there's a key elements to those conversations today. So pardon me, I have some notes up here, but a 20-minute presentation is quite a challenge, as I could probably talk for 20 hours. So I'm going to use this as my guiding light. But how many of you actually are familiar with Outerknown in this room? Wow, impressive. This is great. So Outerknown is a growing apparel company, as most of you guys know. It's deeply rooted in surf, but even more so, extremely connected to the ocean and water. So Kelly Slater started this company in 2015, really with the mission to kind of challenge the status quo of how we create clothing and build sustainable clothing. So he's always been extremely conscious about what he puts in his body, but then he started to question, what am I putting on my body? Once again, we need to always question our decisions. So as the brand has evolved, there's been this desire to really push the industry on design principles. And I think that this is a key kind of element of our brand. We exist to find your Outerknown, which is an invitation to customers, to our actual brand, as well as then to the environment, which can be described as the furthest reaches of what we know and what we're grounded in terms of design development. So a little bit in terms of where we are now. So Outerknown became FLA accredited in 2018, and over 25% of our products are now fair trade certified. So huge progress in the last 4 to 5 years. So a significant portion of the garment's impact is determined by the raw material inputs. This is what we've also heard throughout this presentation. So Outerknown has also been extremely focused on finding alternatives to replace these conventional fibers that have extremely negative impacts on people and planet. But the brand is now pushing the envelope to think about how design can go beyond this concept of causing less harm and actually thinking about how we can contribute to a thriving environment. So I want that to be another thing that everyone kind of lets resonate in terms of causing less harm and how can we actually contribute good in terms of the environment. So therefore, we must reestablish a connection with our customers and the value of our clothing to challenge the current models of consumerism. So right now, in this world that we live in, we consume more and more and more, and these garments are disposed of, as we heard, after 1 to 7 times of use. So how do we actually create this new connection with clothing in terms of identifying this new relationship with our customers? So a huge purpose for us, and this is kind of late in breaking in terms of our vision, is how do we actually redefine consumerism? How do we take on that challenge to look at it from creating systemic change that looks at how garments are all interconnected in each place that that garment has? So 3 kind of huge principles that we live by. So we're obviously impact obsessed. It's in everything that we do. So we're constantly innovating, which I'll talk about and give specific examples. We're always questioning. We must always say, are we actually solving a problem by adding another problem, or are we actually striving for progress and moving in the right direction? And then once again, reimagining consumerism. How do we actually interact with these garments, and what is the true purpose? Are we designing for desirable and long-lasting garments? So in terms of our fiber portfolio, We have now reached where we're at 90% of our fiber sourced are preferred. And the way that we've defined preferred versus sustainable is organic cotton, recycled polyester, recycled nylon, and hemp. There are other fibers that we can include, but these are just the ones that we have chosen to source. We have some work to do, and we will definitely be loud about this and note that we're working on these other conventional fibers such as linen, wool, nylon, using conventional or virgin nylon, as well as then spandex. So there are solutions out there. We just need to identify opportunities in terms of how we pull them and use them into our garments. So Econyl. Is anyone familiar with this fiber? Is anyone sourcing it? Great. What are you guys typically using it in? Sandals? Swimwear? Great. All right, so with that, the launch of Econyl was probably one of our first actual innovative fiber launches. We partnered with this company specifically and worked with them through R&D. We did not just come about and find this fiber. We actually worked hand in hand to co-develop it. So with the launch of Outerknown, Outerknown was the first to actually bring this to market. There are pros and cons of this. It was a great experience for the brand, and as we think about innovation, each and every one of us should be thinking about how it's really truly a collaborative effort and that we're partnering on R&D, but at the same time we need to pull in others. We need to make sure that we're solving problems for the industry and for not one specific brand. There are price point issues, there's supply and demand issues. These are the realities. So my kind of big advice or key kind of takeaway from all of this is to make sure that this is a group effort and it's not a competitive advantage. So then, wrong slide. So our latest and kind of greatest, I would say, innovative product that's hit market is the Woolaroo short. Is anyone familiar with this short? A couple hands. Great. So essentially we took an old vintage product, so inspired from a collection in the 70s, looked at the materials that it was made from, looked at its durability, its performance, etc., and we used wool as a replacement for nylon and for polyester for the fiber make, which is really exciting in the sense if we think about huge issues with synthetic fibers and microfiber shedding, wool is renewable and it's biodegradable. We still have to solve for the dyes that we add and for potential finishes that we add, but at least we have a groundbreaking case in terms of how we use a new fiber to make this trunk and still reap the benefits of quality and performance. And then also, I think once again, this topic of conversation that needs to be driven through the entire industry is around collaboration. We have a huge issue with price point of all of these fibers. We pay a premium for all of these fibers. So how do we actually band together to create systemic change and challenge the way that we're currently sourcing? So we created this group, the Preferential Tariffs Project, to basically ban some of the top brands who are sourcing sustainable fibers to say, how do we get the price point down? Can we do that through duty-free or lowering the duty of some of these garments? Is there a way to show that there's a benefit in using these fibers to help then draw down the price point? So we just launched this group or this initiative last year, and we're growing in terms of the amount of members that are participating and have now identified a roadmap in terms of how we can successfully see this through. So once again, this is reliant on multiple brands coming together. So huge thanks to all of you guys here. Obviously this is work that requires an entire village. It requires everyone here in this room. It's not to say that one brand can do this and conquer for all. It's complicated, it's complex, it's honestly never ending, but our brand is dedicated and we're asking that each and every one of you is dedicated as well. So we hope to work with all of you to solve these problems, to shape a better future. We're grateful to be here today and excited to see what we can all do tomorrow. So thank you so much for having me, and hope to meet you soon.